Yeah, we are about to wrap up our capstone project, or getting really close to it anyway. I was just looking at that this morning. So if you're up to date, this will wrap it up. If you haven't done like last week or the week before, you'll need to do that before you can finish this week's. So it's all kind of tied together in there. But let's take a look at it. This is not going to take long today. All right, on the grade screen, we had the introduction. We had the decomposition and pattern recognition where we researched the questions we would use to help whichever group you're helping. Last week was the pseudocode based on the questions you did. And then this week, we're actually going to write the code for the pseudocode. Let's go look at 6.04 this week. Yeah, maybe everybody be exempt from the final here. Ready, set, code. So you've done your research, you've written the pseudocode. Now it's time to make your program a reality. For this part of your capstone project, you'll be using your pseudocode from last week to write the actual code for this week, creating a program that will help solve the specific problem for whichever of the three scenarios you chose. So before you start, let's refresh your memory on some of the most important concepts you've learned and will be using while coding your program. In this Python guided activity, you'll practice skills such as finding the average of a list, keeping score, using multiple functions, and more. So let's just take it. They're just giving us some refreshers on remembering different ways that code works. So this code finds the average of a list. So here we are, very short program, define main. They created a list of numbers and they named it runtimes. So then we do two things. Find the total of all the numbers in the list using the sum command. Sum will add all the numbers that are in the list runtimes together. Boom. Then we want to find how many numbers are there. Length of the list. It will save that in the list length. So however long that is. So we've got the total of all the numbers and how many numbers there are. So to find the average, we just divide the sum by the length and print that. 14.15. We got 15.5, 14.05, 13, 15, and 13.2. And of course, the way this works, putting it all on the list, if we wanted to add to the list, we could just put them in here 22, 16, 33, 18, 51, 10.1. And just adding those to the list, it'll automatically find the new average 20.0772727 because it'll automatically add them up and know that we've added more because it automatically checks the length. So that's a nice way to find the average. Searching for a race bib number. You know, you race, you get that little number bib that hangs on your clothes. So here's some numbers in our main function 15, 14, 13, 22, 25. This is an input. That's a terrible variable name, X. Input, integer input, enter a 2 to get bib number to search for. So it's assuming, okay, whatever you search for is probably not going to be there. So we're going to create this variable called found, and we're going to set it equal to false. Then we're going to use a loop to look through the length of the list of numbers that finish the race. And if what the user entered matches something on that list, we'll say, okay, now found is true. We did find it. And we'll print the statement saying, yes, that runner finished the race. And then if it's true, we'll jump out of that loop. We'll break. Then after it's through with this loop, if not found, found is this variable. So if the found is not true, means it's still false, we'll say that number was not found. So let's run it. Enter 2-digit number, search for the runner. Okay, did runner 15 finish? 15 is a bib number of a runner that finished the race. Ah, great. How about runner number 1? That person was so eager to sign up, they signed up first. No, they didn't finish the race. 1 was not found. So, nice little code that kind of shows you how to search for something in a list of numbers. Slide 3, greeting people. Now, I thought this was interesting. We put parameters, arguments on the main function, names. So this function greets everyone on the list. So it uses a loop for name and names, prints hello and whatever name. And when you call the main function, they sent all the names there. Instead of creating names in a list or anything, we'll just send them all. When you run it, hello Judah, hello Jose, hello Hassan, hello Annabelle. And you can just add names on when you call it there. Oh, so just add to the list. Hello Tegan, hello Vivian. Just got them added right onto the list. All right, our fourth example, find the error in the flow. So this is really cool. It uses a whole bunch of different functions. We've got 4 different functions and the main function. And the main function calls function 2 and function 3. So let's look at all these functions. Function 1, all it does is print the word functions. That's it. Function 2, this says the first time a function called prints the and flow. So the first thing function 2 is call function 4. Function 4 just prints the word the. That's all function 4 does. So function 2 calls function 4, prints the, and then prints flow. And then we got function 3, second time function call prints of. So it calls function 4, which prints the. It prints the word of, and then calls function 1, which prints the word functions. So that's interesting. We've got all these functions, and the functions are calling each other, and they're printing things. And all we're doing is calling function 2 and 3. So let's run this. The flow, the of functions. I don't think that's what they expected to be. They was going to put the flow of functions, but we've got this extra the in there. So we have to figure out, why did it print the twice? Well, function 4 is where it prints the. So it must be called more than once. Function 2 calls function 4, and function 3 calls function 4. In the main function, function 2 is called first. So we want that one. This one's good. This shouldn't be there. The flow of functions. Yeah, function 3 should not have called function 4 to print another the. The flow of functions. And we have a programmer spotlight, Harshita Arora, not your average 15-year-old. Harshita Arora is a self-taught app developer. She launched her first project at the age of 15. Self-taught. She figured out how to make an app by herself. Inspired by her computer science teacher, she scored an internship, which eventually led her to MIT Launch, which is an entrepreneur program for teens hosted at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's where she was inspired to code her first Apple application, iOS, called Crypto Price Tracker. It was an instant success. Within 24 hours of launch, it was the #2 finance app in the US Apple App Store. That's amazing. These days, Aurora has her interest focused on machine learning and artificial intelligence. Can't wait to see what she does next. 24 hours at the age of 15, she had the #2 finance app on the Apple Store. All right, the only thing we have is the assignment template. Let me pull over the Google Classroom because I've added that for you. Do this week in Buzz right here. Okay. Before we begin, right. Part 1. This direction has 3 parts. Research questions, answers. So this is from 2 weeks ago. Copy and paste your research questions from 2 weeks ago. So you'll put that here. Then copy and paste your pseudocode from last week. That goes here. So that's part 1 and part 2. It's from the last 2 weeks. Part 3, begin to plan your final program with Python code. Continue with the same scenario in your previous research and your pseudocode, and use the following guidelines to write your code. Name, date, purpose. Use comments throughout your code saying this function does this or this section of code does this. Follow the indenting and white space rules and make sure it runs and produces output that solves your scenario's problem. So when you're completed, turn in the file with your code and turn this in Google Classroom. Just make sure you all you're doing is posting this in here. There's nothing else to do in here. And this repeats the 3 scenarios again, in case you forgot what they were. So that's all we have. Copy and paste the last 2 assignments into this one. Write the code that went with your pseudocode you wrote on last assignment. And we'll call it done.